Hey everyone, welcome to week 7 of the Commissioners Clubhouse and the LCC Network, the only place where you're going to get some badass fantasy football knowledge within our league. What's up, Jameson? How's it going?
Good. I'm excited. I just got back from a mini vacation. I'm excited to do episode 1 of heading into week 7. We've got your rookie record this week. We've got the weekly recap. We've got some trading frenzy discussion from last week from the deadline, and of course we got our ballers and followers before we close out the show. So it's going to be a good one. It's jam packed. There's a lot in this, so we can go ahead and get started if you want to.
Yeah, let's kick it off. Last week I started my rookie record. We're continuing that this week. I'm pretty excited about it. So again, I'm talking about rookie IDP players that have been balling out, not only last week, but just overall this season. And I kind of slapped myself for not mentioning him last week just because of how good he's been. And he's on my team. That's Darius Leonard, the linebacker from the Indianapolis Colts. He was selected in the second round of this past draft, 4th pick overall. The dude's from South Carolina State. He's a local guy, 6'2", 234. Right now, his lowest game he's scored all year was week 1, 33 points. He's killing it, man. He is destroying teams. He hasn't had a game where he's had less than 5 total tackles. That was actually last week, and he still had 36 points. The man is on fire. He's killing it. He is a tackle machine.
And if I'm reading this right, he has more points than Saquon Barkley for the entire over the course of the season. That is nuts.
He's the 9th highest scorer in fantasy football so far, averaging 52 points a game. The only other linebacker that's outscored him so far is Kiko Alonso. I hate myself for dropping him. Yeah. He's averaging 43.7 points a game. So Darius Leonard, if you haven't heard of him, you better start remembering that name now, because I've got a feeling he's going to be around for a long time and is going to be doing really good things in the NFL.
Yeah, and what's so good about him is he's a tackle machine. So he's so consistent. He doesn't rely on picks or fumbles or sacks or anything weird. And he's right here from South Carolina, SC State. So that's really cool. That's awesome for him. Went completely undrafted in our league, and you were lucky enough to scoop him up after week 1. So congrats to you on that future IDP monster you have there. So. Awesome. So we'll jump right into our weekly recap. We're going to move through these fairly quickly because everyone kind of knows the outcomes already. We're just going to kind of brush over them, maybe talk about some of the highlights in a game or two. But if you want to go ahead, you can kick it off, Pat. What's the first one we're going over?
Yeah, let's kind of move the same way we moved through this last year. I know, or not last year. Listen to me, I'm losing my mind over here. No, we're where we left off last week in terms of the same way we covered it. We're going to start off with the game of the week: Abusement Park versus Cards Fan. That was probably the best game all season in terms of game of the weeks go. Most of them have been kind of like blowouts, but this game came down to the wire. Mike ended up winning, barring any stat changes between now and Thursday. Mike won 230 to 228, is now 4-2, and that bumps Peyton to 3-3 and second place in the division, I believe.
Yeah, that was a close game. Fred Warner didn't get another tackle the entire half of the game last night against the Packers.
Oh, sorry. I actually haven't updated the standings. But yeah, anyways, so moving forward, we had Cameron versus Bryson in a game that we all knew was going to be a blowout. Cameron ended up winning 310 to 233. That puts Cameron at 3-3, 2-game winning streak. Bryson has yet to find a W this year, who is now 0-6 for the season.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any easier taking on you next week, leading the conference and score.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
Don't jinx it. I do want to mention, though, he's setting his lineup. He's on the waiver wire. Things just haven't broken right for him. He's going to get a win, and it's going to take time. It's his first year playing. IDP is not easy to jump right into.
No, I mean, he's not only new to fantasy football, but he joined a deep IDP league I mean, Bryson came into the hardest year to be a rookie, and he's paying his dues, so to speak. I mean, I think he's got a good future. I mean, we just got to give him some time to really understand everything and soak it all in. I know Cameron talked about how he made the championship at age 12, but I mean, come on, the league wasn't as deep as it is now. Not taking anything away from Cameron, but there's just so much more to the league now, and he came into a tough year to be a rookie.
Yeah, and that's not taking anything away. That's just not an apples to apples comparison, from what it was then and what it is now. So, it takes some time. Bryson will get there.
By the way, I said Peyton fell to second place. He's actually third place in the division now because of that loss.
Yeah, it's behind Billy and Cameron. Cameron's beating 4 even in the record.
Next game up, Tyler versus Detroit Bad Boys. So that's Billy. So Protect Booty versus Detroit Bad Boys. This game right here, I thought was going to be a good one going into it. And you know what? It actually ended up being a pretty good game, in my opinion. Detroit Bad Boys ended up winning 259 to 242. That's that kind of took Tyler out of the first place run for the division and launched Billy forward. At least in my opinion, that was definitely a well-needed win that puts Billy at first place in this division.
Yeah, Mark Barron crushed him. First came back, he got 1 point in the linebacker spot. Literally an assist on a tackle. So just crushed Tyler. He's only a game back, though. But, yeah, it's a great win for Billy to try to keep up and kind of maintain a lead and a stronghold in that division. In a division that looks like Cameron's growing in strength, so he's going to need to keep winning.
Next up, we had Isaac taking on Game of Jones. That was Kyle, which was a close game up until the end. Isaac ran away with a 370-310, putting Kyle at 1-5 and putting Isaac at 3-3, giving him his third game in a row of winning.
And just a little bit of history, Kyle has lost 2 games this season, scoring 310 points. Exactly. 310 points, and he's got 2 losses. He has been scored on more than anybody in the entire league, including me.
Yep.
So he just had a rough go.
The next game, Eastside Brawlers versus, SU Jameson, Give Me More. I thought this game was going to be good, but I don't think I knew it was going to be as good as it was. You ended up winning that 314 to 301, giving my dad his third straight loss at 2-4, giving you your second straight close game win, and that puts you at 4-2.
Yeah, it was dramatic all the way down to the last minute and a half of the Packers game last night. If you weren't paying close attention, if you weren't in this game, you probably weren't. But it was back and forth all night last night, and it was very nerve-wracking. But I was glad to come out with a win. So, all right, what's the next game?
The next one's one that I would like to forget about because it's not my winning streak, my birthday weekend. Just kind of topped it off with all my sports teams losing the same weekend. Oh. But I ended up losing to Jade. As many of you know, Jade ended up winning 287 to 257 in a 30-point game, giving Jade a second straight win at 4-2, giving me my first loss of the year at 5-1.
Yeah, a couple underperformers there, but don't freak out. Most of your players did pretty good. John Brown, Jordan Howard. Your offense just didn't get off the ground this week, but your defense was great, and that's a good foundation. So.
Next up, this was definitely one that I felt like was going to be a good game, and it ended up being pretty close. Jordan ended up beating Storm. That's Afternoon Delights versus Vegetarians, 346 to 322, putting Jordan at 3-3 and dropping Storm to 4-2. Although I think this just happened to be a rough week for Storm, even though he played outstanding. I think he's going to keep doing good.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley set the tone for Jordan on that Thursday night win. So,
yeah. Next up, we had Daquan versus Secure the Pound, primetime players versus Secure the Pound. That is Kevin, I believe. This game was definitely a blowout. Daquan ended up winning 299 to 227, giving Secure the Pound his second straight loss and putting him at 2-4, and kind of redeeming Daquan from losing his first game the week before, putting him at 5-1.
Yeah, he's looking good. No single digits from him. 2 from Kevin. So that was a big momentum swing there. But
yep. And the next game, this no one was excited about this, especially not Charles. The third leg versus Steel Curtain. Cody ended up running away with this big time, winning 329 to 149. And that puts Charles at 0-6, just like Bryson. And that puts Cody at 5-1, kind of redeeming himself from the previous week as well.
Yeah, Cody had a guy get 0 points, still put up 329 points. Gurley, Connor, and Mahomes beat Charles's team just by themselves, just with those 3 guys.
Oh my God! Dude.
Absolutely insane, just total domination over Charles in that game.
Yeah. Next up, this one was kind of a blowout too. Hunter of Champions ended up being Abortion Clinic 285 to 242, giving Hunter his second straight win, putting him at 4-2. And Abortion Clinic can't even pay to get a win at this moment. He's on his 4th straight loss, putting him at 2-4 for the season.
Yeah, 4 players in the single digits for Abortion Clinic. That's a huge issue. And that he's had that in the past. And if it keeps continuing like that, he's going to keep losing games.
This next game, I don't think anyone expected to be as close as it was. Mifali ended up scraping away a win against Matt, 311 to 293, putting Mifali at 4-2, his 3rd straight win. Matt getting his 4th straight loss and a tough one, hard one to swallow, making him 1-5 for the year.
Yeah, Buda Baker for Mufali. One of the best defensive players of the week. Really helped him pull away. So not much else I can say there.
Yeah. And the last game, this was one that none of us were excited about. No, we actually joked. I remember us joking about this game last week. Michael versus Colby. And probably the biggest upset of the season probably will be, unless I end up losing to Bryson. Knock on wood. Michael ended up winning 278 to 257, giving him his he's on a 2-game winning streak now. He's 2-4, and that drops Colby to 4-2, and that's definitely hurting him at the moment, as I believe he dropped to 2nd place in the division.
Yeah, he has to keep
he was already at 2nd place, but
yeah, he was already at 2nd, but he's got to keep pace with Cody, and that's not the way to do it. Losing to Michael, like you said, we kind of made fun of this one, but this one did not turn out like most people thought it would.
Yeah.
But yeah, so is that it for the recap for last week?
That's it. We zoomed through that, but trust me, guys, we're doing it to save time for next week's show, so we can go a little more in depth of the upcoming games instead of spending so much time breaking down the previous week, which we all really know what happened. There's no need to go deep into that.
Yeah, to go so deep into it. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and move on to trading frenzy. So last week before the deadline, we had a couple trades. So I just wanted to kind of recap that, kind of maybe some of the motivations behind it, and kind of talk about some of those players that maybe people should be targeting after the season. So first we had the Freeman, Devontae Freeman for Kerryon Johnson trade that me and Billy did. I wanted to get out of the Coleman-Freeman saga, the whole thing that's been going on there. And so sent both of those guys to Billy, so Billy would have some insurance if Freeman went down, which he did, and has been put on IR. And I went after Kerryon Johnson. He's kind of a budding star, in my opinion. He's not getting the lead role yet, but down the road he definitely could. And so I just kind of wanted a little bit of piece of that, potential with Kerryon Johnson. He's looked good, but from the eye test. So that's kind of what happened there before the deadline. And then Jade traded Keenan Allen for Robert Woods literally like 5 minutes before the deadline.
Real quick, a little backstory, especially for the other conference, if you guys are listening right now. Our conference went haywire literally the last 10, 15 minutes before the trade deadline was here. I mean, messages were going left and right. The group chat was going nuts. People were panicking. Jade was one of them, trying to do anything he could to get rid of Keenan Allen. And Peyton jumped right on it. Peyton was like, hell yeah, let me get in this trade. And James, I'll let you jump back into what you were saying about it. But yeah.
No, I was just going to say, being on the trade committee, I was trying to stay active and aware of things that were going on. And I couldn't keep up with all the messages that were pouring in between people throwing out crazy offers. I think you were getting in there just kind of making chaos and making it hectic.
I was trying to make it worse for everyone. I was
just
throwing out DJ Swearinger.
just to make it more chaotic. Jay, I mean, so Robert Woods, we ended up getting approved. Robert Woods had a better week than Keenan Allen this week, and so it looks like it might have been a better deal for Jade at the moment, but Keenan Allen did this last year. He didn't do anything through the first 6 weeks, and then after the last 6 weeks, he just went ballistic. And I think he finished
Keenan Allen almost carried Maria to the playoffs at the end of the year. I mean, literally, she was one game away from making the playoffs, and Keenan Allen was the guy that literally grabbed her by the hand and took her to the threshold of the playoffs.
Yes. And so I just wanted to say, don't let this 1 week freak you out. Keenan Allen is going to take off. The thing I like about Allen, I don't like about Woods, is Woods, when Kupp and Brandon Cooks are healthy, which they weren't this week, that's a 3-receiver team. It's a lot like the Lions. Like any week, Robert Woods could be the guy, Brandon Cooks could be the guy, Cooper Kupp could be the guy, Todd Gurley's the guy every week. I don't like players to be my number one guy in offenses like that, where there's literally 4 other people who could be the number one guy, where that's not going to happen with the Chargers. Keenan Allen's going to be the guy. Mike Williams is an end zone threat and hasn't done anything in 4 weeks. There's no tight end to soak up red zone targets. And who's the other guy? Travis Benjamin and Tyrell Williams. Those are speed threat guys. Exactly. So Keenan Allen is going to step up. They haven't been in a situation where they had to pass the ball a lot. I mean, they played the Browns this past week. They won by like 20-something points. So, but as those games get closer and they play the Chiefs again, they kind of do those things. Keenan Allen's going to be there, so don't stress too much about this. If you're Peyton or anyone who has Keenan Allen, don't worry too much about it. So,
and don't get me wrong, I'm not doubting Jade because trust me, I've been in the league long enough and I've seen Jade make these types of trades time and time again, and somehow they end up working out in his favor.
Oh yeah.
Right now it's paying off. I mean, if you look at numbers, Jade got the better in the deal. If you're just looking at numbers, not talking about anything else, Jade right now has the 6th best fantasy receiver in the league. And, Peyton ended up with the what we were just talking about this earlier, Jameson. He's way down there, actually, Keenan Allen.
He's 22 in receiver rank.
He's 22
for the year.
He's like a low-end number 2 receiver.
Low receiver 2. Brandon Robert Woods is a high-end one. But Cooper Kupp is, 10 or 12 on the season? So Cooper Kupp's right there as well. But he was hurt this week. He missed the whole game, literally the entire game. And Brandon Cooks is only a deep threat. And it was snowing, so it was all Todd Gurley. But, again, this is going to take a little bit of time to see how this pans out. And I wouldn't be surprised if it works out in Jade's favor. I just don't like having a receiver who is in a situation like Robert Woods as my number one guy. That's why I don't like Marvin Jones. I don't like Kenny Galladay. And I don't like Golden Tate as my number one guy. I would love to have any of those guys, but as my second or third receiver, if that makes sense. I just don't like an offense where the ball could go anywhere. So before we move on, just real quickly, I wanted to touch on a couple players that didn't. Tevin Coleman got moved last week. I moved him to Billy. He's in a contract year. This is his last year playing with the Falcons. They're not going to they're not going to re-sign him. They're not going to pay him. They already paid Devonta Freeman unless they annex Freeman, which I don't see happening. Tevin Coleman's going to go to another team, and he's going to more than likely be a starter. It's going to be like a very Jerick McKinnon type situation where he goes somewhere else.
Here's a crazy thought. We haven't even talked about this. I've never even heard anyone talk about it. It literally just came to mind. Could you foresee Atlanta trading Devonta Freeman to Pittsburgh if Pittsburgh ends up letting Le'Veon Bell go after the season? You don't think they do that?
No. Because they have James Conner. They won't do that. No, they wouldn't. He wouldn't go to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh doesn't make moves like that. But if you're asking me, could I see them favoring Coleman over Freeman? Absolutely. With the injury history, the problem is the money. I don't think they can annex Freeman without the salary cap hit and pay Coleman at the same time. So they're probably going to have to let Coleman go and keep Freeman. So Coleman's going to go somewhere like the Jets. or something like that, and he's going to be a starter. So if you've got Coleman, even if he's not providing a lot of immediate value, hold on to him. Even though we just found out today Freeman is going to the IR, so Coleman actually is going to provide a lot of value for this season. Either way, he's worth holding on to and considering through the offseason or trying to trade for if you need a running back. And that kind of makes me want to touch on another player, James Conner. I tried to talk to Jade about getting James Conner. He never listened or responded. But you better believe I'm targeting James Conner in the offseason because Le'Veon Bell's not coming back. And James Conner, I saw a stat today on ESPN that he is producing almost exact numbers to Le'Veon Bell this time last year. He looks completely legit. He catches the ball. He runs the ball. He's never game scripted out. And he's in a high-flying offense. We're with Big Ben for probably at least another year or two. So he's worth targeting in the offseason. You can't get him now, but in the offseason, reach out to whoever has James Conner and try to make some deals. Tevin Coleman, James Conner, any of those running backs or receivers who are on a year, who this is their contract year, or they're going to be starters next season, go after them in the offseason.
By the way, since we're talking about trades, I just want to make the entire league aware. Most of you probably were aware, at least I hope you are, that based off the current trading rules and keeper rules, if you trade a player on your team now, that resets their contract in terms of how many years you can keep a player. Meaning, if let's say Jay trades Le'Veon Bell away after this year, sometime next season, or even this year, that means whoever gets him for 3 years, 3 seasons. So just keep that in mind going forward, especially since I know next year will be the final contract year for most of our keeper players that we've had. Todd Gurley, one of them for Kyle at least, and for Cody. So just keep that in mind going forward, guys. Now, it is possible that rule change, that could be a rule change proposal, depending on what others think. But as of now, that is the current rule for trading players and how it impacts your keepers.
Yeah, that makes me wonder too, Pat. You think about trading. How interesting would it be to give up if Jade were to trade Le'Veon Bell, since he's only got a year left on the contract, and keep James Conner, who would have more time on a contract if he were to be a starter for the Steelers next season? That's really interesting. I think owners are going to have to make those decisions this offseason. So if there's a guy who's got Todd Gurley on the last year of his contract, approach him. Say, hey, I'll give you my running back and a first-round pick or my first 2 picks for Todd Gurley. You get Todd Gurley for 3 years. You got a guy who's going to get you 45 points every week, at least. So just kind of think about that as we go through the season, and we head into the offseason. Just because the deadline's passed, you don't have to quit thinking about possible trades and players you can get in the future. So. All right, cool. Well, we'll jump right into our ballers and followers to get these last segment or two before the show, so that way we can get real heavy into some of the stuff on our show later in the week. So we'll jump right into ballers and followers here. So that's my sound drop for the ballers there. But again, only defense. We like to kind of focus on that. You can go look at wide receivers, running back, quarterbacks, anywhere else. So Frank Clark, Seattle's defensive end, picked up off waivers this week and plugged right into a lineup. I know because I played against him. 60 fantasy points. It came out of nowhere. 2 forced fumbles, 2.5 sacks, 3 tackles. He was a monster. 30 points in the first half, 30 points in the second half. I watched it very closely, and I got really nervous. I don't know if he's worth holding on to. It might have been just like a freak thing, but it's definitely worth looking at.
I'd give him another week or 2.
Yeah, hold on to him. If someone drops him, look at him. Look at who he's playing. If he's playing a poor offense like the Oakland Raiders, pick him up, plug him in. Kiko Alonso, linebacker from Miami. We already talked about this. Was it 56 fantasy points, if I'm not mistaken? 11 tackles, 9 solo tackles, 11 total tackles, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. This is becoming an every week thing. He is a locked and loaded starter. Listen to the stats: 39, 76, 36, 24, 31, 56 through 6 weeks. Hasn't scored less than 24 fantasy points. If you can find a linebacker who's doing that, plug him every single week.
For sure.
I'm not playing against him this week, so that makes me nervous. But Chandler Jones, defensive end in Arizona. 48 points this week, if I'm not mistaken. 1.5 sacks, 1 pass defense, and a forced fumble. He has at least 1 sack in 5 of 6 games this season. At least 1 sack. So he is Mr. Consistent. He has been dominant, and he should be in your lineup every single week. So now we've got some fallers this week.
Could you please not do anything awful for 5 seconds?
So we've got Khalil Mack.
Yeah, Jameson Jesus.
We've got Khalil Mack. And we talked about this earlier in the year, that this was going to happen. We didn't know when, but it's going to happen because it's what Khalil Mack does. It's what 3-4 edge rushers do.
I said it last week.
Yeah.
I literally just talked about this last week.
Was he on your sit-em last week?
I think I'll have to go back and look. I could have swore he was, or at least I brought up the fact that his numbers were about to drop, and this week just
he was. He crushed it because he only got 5 points. And he's also has an ankle injury that's worth monitoring. He actually came back in the game, but with a guy like him who needs to explode off the line, ankle injuries are devastating.
I'm about to go check it out to see if I got it. Hang on. You keep talking. I'm pulling up last week's stuff.
If that was your call, because you crushed it on the 1 week that you had to. Another fall, we've got Sean Davis, the Pittsburgh safety, came into the season ranked pretty highly, and hasn't done anything. I think he had 5 points in this game, so maybe 1 tackle. He's not even worth holding on to. I think he should just be cut completely. You shouldn't be in your starting lineup. Shouldn't be on your bench. If you've got Sean Davis, just cut bait and run. No point holding on to him. And then finally, we got Mark Barron, the Los Angeles Rams linebacker. This is what crushed Tyler's game against Billy. He only lost by 17, and Mark Barron got him 1 point. That's an assist. So I'm not sure what happened. He was coming back from an injury. I don't like playing guys in their first game back from an injury because it's tough to make it through. I saw that with Cooper Kupp this week. We saw that with Leonard Fournette last week. So that's just something worth monitoring. He's not worth cutting yet because it's his first game back, but I wouldn't have him in my starting lineup till I see that he can actually get me points consistently. So. But did you ever find that?
I didn't have access to the previous outline, so I wasn't able to check that. But I'm almost positive if I didn't have him as my sit-em, I definitely was talking about how his numbers were about to drop. So I felt it's just obvious. I mean, he's a guy who's sack dependent. I mean, that's like getting a receiver who's touchdown dependent. It's not going to happen every week. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Feel pretty good right now.
Cool. Well, right before we go, let's jump into a segment we like to call Over Under. We were going to have this on the next show. We wanted to move it up so we can actually talk a little more in depth on the next show about some things. So Pat, do you see it right there? Over Under on the show on the doc?
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. So the first one I put in there, wins for Bryson for the rest of the season. I put in 3. So what do you think? Over or under for the rest of the season?
Oh my God, dude. That one's tough. I mean, Bryson, like we said, like we're telling him keep your chin up, keep trying, keep going at it. But no, I think under. I don't see how his team can win more than 3 games at this point. I mean, my God, there's only 6 weeks. That means the man's literally got to go 4-2 over the next 6 weeks. I just don't see how that happens, especially when he's got myself, then Kyle, then Tyler, then Jade, then Mike, and then Abortion Clinic. Well, some of these games are possible upsets. I could see that happen, especially when you look at a team like Abortion Clinic David, who's lost 4 straight. Mike's a little inconsistent. Jade, I think Jade will probably win that, and you never know with Wild Cow, you know what I mean?
Wild Cow.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I agree. 3. I'm going to go under as well. It can't be more than 3, and I don't think it'll be 3. The metrics just don't lie. The points 4 haven't been there. They just haven't been there.
See, at best he gets 3 at this point, I think. But yeah, I don't see him getting 4. There's no way.
Yeah, that's at best. The metrics, again, they don't lie. Points 4, he's the lowest in almost the entire league, if not the entire league. He has been scored on a lot, so that's why I think it could break and he could get a win or 2. He has been scored on probably 3rd, I think, in the entire conference. But 3 or 4 is going to be really hard to do with the schedule that he's got. So I'm going to go under there. So wins for Kyle, I put 4. He's got 1 right now. He would have to go 3-3 over the rest of the season. What do you think?
Oof. I mean, here's the deal. Kyle's either breaking 300 or hovering around 300, or the dude's scoring under 200. I mean, for example, week 2, he had 310. Week 3, 174. He's boom or bust. And with that said, he's got Peyton this week. I think he's going to lose that. Next, he's got Bryson. He should win that. Next, he's got Mike. Dirty Mike and the boys. You never know with that. That's a toss-up. Then he's got Tyler, you, and then Cody, which there's no way in hell he beats Cody week 12. Not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So. Exactly. For this one, I'm not a risk taker. And again, the metrics, I think he goes under that. Probably 3 wins, maybe this year.
Yeah.
But again, same as Bryson, he has been scored on a lot. So I think that'll break the other way, and he'll win an extra game.
And Kyle has potential to score over 300. So it is. I think if you were to say who has a better shot at either Kyle going 5-7 or Bryson 4-8, I say Kyle at 5-7 because of the fact he has potential to score 300 any week.
Oh yeah.
Which gives him a shot to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to go under just to be safe. But I'd love to hear what people have to say. If people want to text in, email us, get in the group chat, feel free to discuss these types of things. Wins for you in the second half of the season, I put 3. What do you think, given everything, over or under 3 wins for the rest of the season, the second half?
For myself, okay. Well, we got 6 weeks. I've got Bryson, I've got Michael in the other conference, I've got my dad, and I've got Isaac twice, and I've got Cameron. Ooh. You're asking if I go 4-2 the rest of the year. I say under, and because I've got some tough teams. The only games that I think are extremely winnable are against Bryson now, and then week 12 against Michael. I feel like I've got a good shot of beating him. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough rest of the season. I don't know if I can beat that. That's my opinion, though. My little bit of humble pie.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I had to guess, I would say 4-2. Again, I think it's part of it's the schedule. I think you can rip one off against Isaac, Michael, Bryson, and then your dad's been kind of. This was his best week by far. I'm not sure you're going to get 301 points out of him every week. But again, I think there's some metrics there that you could make cases for, like you were talking about, that could lead to regression, where it could be less than 4 wins. Either way, you're in a pretty good spot. But yeah, I'm going to just barely go the over here. I wish I could do like 3.5 or something, but yeah, I'm going to go with 4. But my final one here: teams in the playoffs from the Elite 12 East. So this is Cameron, Peyton, and Billy's division. I put 2. Over or under, or can you make the case for 2? What do you think from that division? You got to remember who you're leaving out.
If I had to choose under or over, if I had to choose under or over, I say, Jesus, this is hard for me to say. I'd say under. And it sounds crazy. I mean, it's one of the best divisions it's the best division in the conference, one of the best in the league. It's because of how much talent is in that division. I think ultimately they're going to give each other a couple losses here and there to the point where a team like Isaac or myself will end up with either the 5th seed or possibly a bye week. And then at best, you have one of those 2 teams getting that last seed, or even Tyler. Tyler's been pretty good despite his efficiency. Yeah. He's got a shot. I literally just don't see how all 3 teams in that division make the playoffs. I really don't see it happening just because of the fact they play each other. I mean,
yeah, exactly. And that's my argument for it, too, is I don't think it just can happen. Not with, Isaac's right there. Tyler's right there. Whoever comes in second in Jade and Mike's division, they're both 4-2. In Billy's division, it's 4-2, 3-3, 3-3. So, I mean, they're already a game behind. I just don't see 3 being a possibility, 2 at the most. But you're right. If I had to go over or under on that, I would go under. Just because I don't see all 3 happening. The only time that's been done was 2014 that I can recall, when me, Tyler, and Cody were all in the same division and went to the playoffs.
I don't know that I'm not sure. I'm not sure if anyone's done any other divisions done that or not. I have to go back and look off the top of my head.
It's a tough one.
And we don't have this on paper, but I was just thinking about it. I was like, this is a perfect under-over. I'm going to ask you this.
Okay.
All right. Steel Curtain, Cody, arguably the best team, in my opinion, in the Top Shot Conference. Under or over 9 wins for the regular season? For everyone that doesn't know, there's 12 weeks in the regular season. He's currently at 5-1. Let me tell you his schedule before you answer that. He's got Kevin this week, secure the pound. He's got Michael's team the following week. He's got Daquan the next week. He's got Colby the next week. He's got Jordan the next week, and then he's got Kyle week 12.
Oh wow! So he has to go 4-2 the rest of the season to get 9 wins.
Right.
I'm going to say
so under or over 9.
I'm going to say
wins.
over. I'm going to say over.
Ooh, okay.
Over.
You do realize that would tie the most wins in the regular season of all time.
Jade,
I mean,
right?
10-2 has been done.
Jade's done that before.
I've done it. Jade and I have both done it. I did it in 2010, 2011, and I think I forget the year Jade did it. I have to go and look.
I think did Cameron ever do it, or he got close one year?
That's a good question.
Anyway,
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
No, Jay did it in 2015. He had 10 wins in the regular season, and I think let's see. Sorry, I'm pulling it up. We wouldn't really plan this one out, so we're kind of winging it. All right, no, Cameron did do it last year. He was 10-2. So
yeah,
no one's ever done better than 10-2 in the regular season.
I say yeah. His team looks great. It's been done before, and the schedule's not that tough. Colby and Daquan. I mean, he might lose one of those games, but Jordan, Michael, Kyle. Give me the over. Give me 10 wins for Cody for the season. I'll take that.
All right.
Yeah. What about you?
No, I buy into that too. I feel very confident that's possible.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure he'll be glad to hear that if he listens. Cool. Well, guys, over under. I like this segment a lot. If you guys want to get involved in over under, feel free to send these in to us. If you want us to talk about a particular segment, you say, hey, do over under for this. We'll talk about it. So send it in to us. If you have opinions on what we talked about, feel free to share that too. We all like debating and arguing and talking junk to each other. So feel free to do that. With that, Patrick, we're done. That wraps up the show.
That's it, man. That's right. Wild Waiver Wednesday begins. Well, I guess by the time you're listening, it's already happening. So prepare yourselves, as I guarantee you it's going to be one crazy week after some of the wins and losses of week 6.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a chance to talk about it tomorrow briefly. We've got a not as involved show tomorrow, but it's going to be a lot of depth. So not a lot of breadth, but a lot of depth for sure. And I'm excited about it. But that's it for tonight.
Oh yeah.
So
all right.
Yeah, we'll wrap this up and do tomorrow's show, and I'm looking forward to it. So good luck on waivers, everybody.
That's right.
And we'll talk to you the next time.
Best of luck.
All right.